Okay. Good evening, all of you. And this is absolutely my pleasure to see you all in this wonderful gathering. When I was a student of Center for Historical Studies, 2006-07, we always used to talk, what JNU thinks today, the nation thinks tomorrow. Now I am redefining my own understanding, what CHS thinks today, the nation will think tomorrow. It is not something which is very emotional, because it is very important, because as a student of history, why we need to think about certain categories, certain vocabularies, certain slogans, ideas, ideologies and identities. But now it is very important, it is not just merely a slogan. What we have been looking at and exploring, Bande Mataram, or popularly known as Bande Mataram, is not simply a slogan, as some critiques of this particular idea often try to undermine. So as students of history, I always identify myself as a student of history, because the moment when you think of historian, you have this limitation that my way is highway attitude, which is very dangerous to history writing. And very importantly, I always remember E.H. Carr's definition of history, what is history, and R.G. Collingwood's idea of history, and R.C. Majumdar's, why there is a need to rewrite, re-examine, re-articulate history. So I'm always, passionate in rereading what R.G. Collingwood's writing. Every new generation must rewrite history in their own way. Why there is a need to rewrite history? Because facts are coming up, ideas are changing, ideologies are changing, and perspectives are changing. And therefore, as a new generation of historians, all of you are sitting here, we need to re-examine, re-articulate, and rewrite history in our own way. And not using rewriting in the simplest political definition, but facts are coming up. One such fact as a student of history I have discovered is multiple narratives about Bande Mataram. And these narratives often were silenced by the colonial British. And if you go to Prime Minister Museum and Library, you will find 10 huge bundles under the name proscribed literature. I often quote in my lecture also, proscribed literature or prohibited literature, and mostly these literature are about all these ideas. And one such idea is Bande Mataram. And as Professor Hiraman Tiwari also pointed out, 3 different newspapers were brought out by nationalists or patriots, or those who were critics of the British government. For example, Bande Mataram Daily, Bipin Chandra Pal and Arvind Ghosh, and Bande Mataram Weekly by Lala Lajpat Rai, and Bande Mataram Monthly, Madam Bikaji Kama. So all of us should be aware of it, why there is a need to come out with these different forms of newspapers, even though the term is, the theme is Bande Mataram. Because each newspaper sought to address to different audience. Now basic question, as I often try to provoke budding historians here who are sitting, we need to always ask critical questions. We need to subject the existing historiography into critical scrutiny. Somebody has written, popular historian, that's fine. But what the facts are saying, that is what we need to take or think about seriously. And my question as a student of history, 4 important questions that I would like to ask, and of course you can explore in your own capacity as historians. Was Bande Mataram a battle cry, as it is often projected to be? Did Bande Mataram unite people or divide people? Can the idea of Bande Mataram build the nation or destroy the nation? Some often, when using, because critics and supporters, we need to take a balanced approach. And is Bande Mataram relevant today? If you ask me the question, was Bande Mataram a battle cry? I often see every claim needs to be supported with evidence. Every extraordinary claim needs extraordinary source. Unfortunately, however, we need historians to give importance to facts, not interpretation. Interpretation can be done anywhere. Facts need to be presented before the audience so that people would be able to read out and make sense of. And if you read S.N. Banerjee, I'm sure all of you are familiar with, in his speech on Swadeshism, dated 18 November 1906, this is also one of the proscribed literature. In Bombay, S.N. Banerjee indicates, I quote him, Bande Mataram is not national battle cry. It's not the nation's battle cry. It is a cry for peace, goodwill and harmony among different races, castes, cultural groups. It was not a militant appeal to Goddess Kali to lead the people to victory against the English, but a soft, generous and fervent patriotic effusion reminding the people of India to do their best to their motherland. And it had become the cry of Bengal. It had become the cry of Bombay. It was extended to the Northeast, South, Madras Presidency, and had gone in one grand sweeping march to the Northeast and Northeast also. And it would prove one more bond to unify the Indian races in the service of the motherland. Now the question is very simple. Was Bande Mataram a battle of cry or a powerful tool that sought to unite people against a common enemy with none other than the British during this point in time? The second question all of us can think of asking is, did Bande Mataram unite people? And of course you have critics who would often use religion, caste and other provincial identities, linguistic, racial and so on and so forth. But what the facts say, that I think is very important. For example, nationalist Bande Mataram, daily newspaper, and of course it was edited by very leading nationalists Aurobindo Ghosh and Bipin Chandra Pal. He said, Bande Mataram is a patriotic song and a passionate prayer to Mother India. And of course you can all redefine the idea of Mother India, not necessarily in one just monolithic identity. This is what the beauty of history. And Bikaji Kama, for example, who made the repeated appeals to Indians to live as children of great nation that has glorious past. There we don't see any linguistic identity or religious differentiation or cultural differences or racial differences. And including Gandhi, you identify certain very important observations. For example, on many occasions Gandhi sought to explain the inevitable interconnectedness between spiritualism and patriotism. And I think it's very important. When somebody asks Gandhi, do you think it's a good idea to mix religion with politics? He would say it's definitely possible, because if anyone who questions mixing politics with religion doesn't know what exactly religion is all about. So I am not using religion as a narrowistic sense of the term. I am redefining religion as part of spiritualism or spiritual practice that transcends binaries and boundaries. And Gandhi argued that several meetings were held in different parts of India, and the name of Bande Mataram stands out among all ideas. And he also says it is Bande Mataram that ignited the spirit of patriotic nationalism among people. And it popularized the ideas of Swadeshi, when we cannot simply ignore, boycott and national education. As Gandhi noted, the song proved to be a nobler in sentiment and more potent than the songs of other nations. Let us remind here, it is perhaps the only song in the world that did not use any derogatory words against any of its citizens. That's what Gandhi had to say. When people say it is against this religion, that culture, that identity, this identity, let us also go back to what Gandhi had to say. It is only poem or song in the world that did not use any derogatory language against its own people. And I am quoting here. While other national songs were known for what Gandhi had called derogatory to others, Bande Mataram, as Gandhi maintains, was completely free from such controversies. We also should make note of that. And the final question I'm sure all of you should ask as budding historians, can the idea of Bande Mataram build the nation? Or did it build the nation? Again, I always go back to the premise Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So because it is nothing, when you define, the idea of nationalism, it's very simple. My definition of nationalism is idealism in politics. So that nationalism or the idealism in politics can be traced back to spiritualism. And this spiritualism therefore can be identified closely linking with Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And this Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam seeks to, do everything for the welfare of the people and happiness of the people. And therefore the objective of Indian nationalism is constructive, not destructive. And I'm talking about inclusive nationalism, as Gandhi has pointed out, and Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is all about. And therefore, Bande Mataram also needs to be discussed in that context. So for me, as a student of history, any discussion on Bande Mataram will be incomplete without adequately referencing Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And that's as simple as that. And is it relevant today? I'm sure all of you remember in our school days, National Pledge. I'm sure all of you remember? Kya hai? National Pledge.
All my brothers and
All? Okay. Now I want you to take a pledge as nationalists, as patriots, as someone who want to really think about the importance or relevance. And of course you have every right to be critical. This is what historian's job is all about. Right? We don't have to accept as a gospel truth, but we also need to examine critically, historically, contextualize it. But we cannot completely ignore, undermine, saying that it has nothing to do with Indian tradition. So now my appeal to all of you is, I'll just tell you, maybe you can repeat after me. Because this is what tells us how Bande Mataram was relevant, is relevant, and will continue to be relevant. So this national pledge, I'm sure it's an oath of allegiance commonly recited in schools and at public gatherings. I also did that in Tamil, of course, not in Hindi or English, since I am someone from Tamil medium.
Hindi mein karo.
ठीक है. National pledge, of course, the national pledge was of course composed in Telugu. I'm sure most of us know. Venkata Subba Rao in 1962. Now I'll say this. Maybe you can all say wherever you are, either standing or sitting. It's because as long as you have love for motherland in your heart,
no, we'll stand up, no problem.
Maybe you can stand wherever you are. That will be good. This is a national pledge. Whoever is comfortable, if you have to sit or you can, because something which reminds me of what Bande Mataram, written by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, must have thought about. Let's close our eyes and remind what he must have done and why there is relevance today. Okay. India is my country.
India is my country.
And all Indians are my brothers and sisters.
All Indians are my brothers and sisters.
I love my country.
I love my country.
And I am proud of its rich and varied heritage.
I am proud of its rich and varied heritage.
I shall always try to be worthy of it.
I shall always try to be worthy of it.
I shall give respect to my parents,
I shall give respect to my parents,
teachers,
teachers,
all elders, and treat everyone with courtesy.
and treat everyone with courtesy.
In their well-being, and prosperity alone, lies my happiness. Jai Hind. Bande Mataram. Bande Mataram. Thank you all.